Success is knocking. No more excuses. It's time to get out of your own way. Share now, we're going live. Amazing people, heroes saving the day, neighbors lending a helping hand, innovators changing the world, business leaders promoting and encouraging business ownership and entrepreneurship. The stories that celebrate our humanity. Welcome to the Lance Jones Show.
Join the officers of the North State Law Enforcement Association, the oldest, most prestigious organization established in 1952. We serve the fast-track career, educational, and community partnering needs of federal, state, and local law enforcement officers and first responders. Call today, 336-854-8038. or visit www.nsleogatecity.com.
Now, here is your host, Lance Jones.
Welcome to another edition of the Lance Jones Show. I have a very special guest for you guys this morning, wherever you are in the country. Ms. Sherrie Johnson. Sherrie Johnson is the creator of what's called authentic leadership. We want to unpack that today. I think today in the corporate world, authentic leadership is very needed. So we wanted to have you on the show today to just unpack this idea of authentic leadership versus other types of leadership. Now, I'm a career law enforcement guy, so we like to think what we were doing was authentic. But it was really based on what we call the chain of command. You know, it was a different world, like the military, that type of thing. So how are you doing this morning?
I am doing wonderful. And thank you so much for having me here today. I am excited to come and talk to you a little bit about authentic leadership. It's a pleasure to be here and, just to get the information out, because if we could have other leaders out there, no matter what sector they're in, just incorporate a little bit of authenticity into the workplace, then we would all be much better off. The employees, the organization would be more successful. And you're right. There are many other leadership styles out there. And authentic leadership is actually one of the newer leadership styles. It was developed in 2003, and it comes out of transformational leadership and ethical leadership. But it's about being open, honest, transparent, and communicating well with your employees. That's an authentic leader. And it comes from the authentic leadership theory, and it's one of the authentic leadership styles. And, when I was working on my doctorate, you had to come up with a problem to have your dissertation. So I researched and I noticed that unethical leadership was a big problem that was growing. And there was more of a focus on leadership because there was such unethical leadership within companies and organizations. And so I found a problem that I could research.
Yes. So heretofore, what type of leadership do you think, or would you say dominated or permeated the corporate world?
Well, there's so many leadership styles out there. There's transformational leadership, servant leadership, unethical leadership. There's so many leadership styles out there. And some people, and it's not a bad thing, some people use situational leadership. So they may use different leadership styles for different situations. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. Every employee is different. And sometimes you cannot treat every employee the same way. You have to meet them where they are. So some leaders may use a certain style with certain employee types, and that's okay too. But it's important too to have a little bit of authentic leadership in there as well if you are going to have situational leadership, because there are those employees that respond well and they perform better under an authentic leader, someone that is open, honest, ethical, and has good morals.
So share with us your background. I know you served as the Director of Communications strategic communications. Share with us your background and your training when you received your doctorate.
So I received my doctorate at Grand Canyon University. It's a Doctor of Education in Organizational Leadership with a concentration in organizational development. And yes, I have a plethora of experience. I was Director of Communications for local government. I was also Director of Communications for K through 12 public schools. So I have education in the education field as well as in government field. And, I've worked in executive management, been a strategic advisor to some CEOs, superintendents, presidents. So, I've been in the executive management arena
Yeah.
and worked for a lot of different leaders.
Yeah.
But this book, Authentic Leadership in the Workplace, that I just released in July, this book focuses on my research that I did while working on my doctorate. And so it's not really based on my opinion, but it's based on facts, it's based on data. I also had an opportunity to interview employees to ask them what they think and really put together a qualitative research study when I really dived into that information. So that's the beauty of the book and the information that I'm speaking about. Not really based on opinion, but based on the facts of what and how employees say they can thrive.
Yeah. And so let's dig into this just a little bit. Quantitative and qualitative. Your information, as I did the background for a little bit, very profound. One would think that all the work, all the positions, the dispositions of a leader are authentic. Wasn't necessarily so. Even if they had different leadership styles, how now is it because of after 2020, is because of the Great Resignation? What has brought up this thing about authenticity?
So you're absolutely right. Now is a good time to talk about it, and now is a good time to bring up information about leadership, especially post-pandemic era. And you're right. We got the Great Resignation going on. Employees are, if they're not happy, they're not taking it, and they're resigning. Okay, and so this means that employers and organizations and companies need to stand up and take notice. What can we do to, keep our employees here, reduce turnover, and make them happy? Some companies are struggling with teleworking. At the beginning of the pandemic, when everybody had to quarantine and you had to telework. And then when you started trying to bring people back into the office and people got a taste of that, they didn't want to come back in the office. So that's part of the Great Resignation too, is people are rebelling against a system that they no longer want to be a part of. So right now is a good opportunity for companies to look at the way they're doing things and really listen to the employees. Communication is so key. It is so important for leaders to communicate with employees. Very important. It's also important for leaders to incorporate employees in the decision-making process. So don't just make a decision, but ask them what they think, get their opinion, let them weigh in on it. And when employees can weigh in on it and let you know how they feel invested in the company. And then they tend to perform better because they have that investment and that commitment. And they tend to stay longer and they tend to be happier. Another thing that I found in my research was that some employees were suffering at the hands of malicious behaviors of leaders. Okay. So some leaders were intentionally, being vicious, being malicious towards employees because they had that power over them. And this would cause mental anxieties, mental disorders among employees. So it is very serious and it's something that, people need to be aware of. We really need to, take a stand and make sure we do have ethical, moral, and authentic leaders in the workplace. because your employees will be happier, you will reduce turnover, your morale will improve, and performance and results in the company and organization will also improve. And that's important. And so that's why I'm really getting the message out here. When I was working on my dissertation, and I wrote it for academics, but when I looked at the information, I said, you know what? This is information that the general public needs to know. And so that's when I reworked it, made it more conversational, and put it together and published it as a book for the average person to be able to read and understand and learn this information. Because you're right, it is a conversation that we need to have. But, more and more places have been having issues with leadership. At some colleges and universities, there's been issues with leadership, unethical leadership, the way that some of them handle sexual allegations, not handling them appropriately. And so there have been a number of cases. And, this also affects the students, maybe not wanting to apply to that school, or it affects enrollment. So leaders set the example. They set the tone. And so if you don't have good leadership, that's going to trickle down and mess up the whole entire organization.
And I, as I have a business of nearly 40 employees, so I get it. In the old days, mom and dad went to work, was there on time. If you screwed up, you get written up or put on suspension or whatever it is. Today is more of the workforce is more, it's certainly younger than us or than me, but they want a feeling of inclusion. And so you're absolutely right. You have to set up systems and bring them in that they feel a part of the process, and then reward them. The old days, it was go to work, we knew they had to be there 9 to 5. If you were late, you get written up, that type of thing. It was do as they say do. And that, and so I see I've been studying this just a little bit, because you hit this right on the head. And a lot of these leaders across America, maybe throughout the world, should get your book. And what's the name of the book again?
Authentic Leadership in the Workplace. You can find it on Amazon. You can also find it on my website. But yes, I highly recommend it.
What's your website address?
www.sherriespeaks.com. Sherriespeaks.com, and Sherrie is SHERRIE. Sherriespeaks.com. You can order it on the website.
I think it is really, I've seen the change anyways, particularly after COVID.
Yeah.
Coming out of COVID in 2020, 21, the workplace has changed. The work ethic is different. And in fact, if you don't have the environment of inclusion, many of these employees, they withdraw.
Yes.
They don't go to work. They want to be part of. And I'm seeing that. And it requires us in leadership to change. Saying some, there was one man that said to me in one of the interviews I was doing, he said, change is not always good. It's just different.
Yes.
Well, it may be good for the employees, but different for those in leadership, to break old habits. So does your book talk a little bit about how to break some of those old habits?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. We go step by step. And first we lay out the issue and some of the problems they're facing. And then we tackle application. How do you apply, this knowledge? And I think at the beginning of chapter 8, it even says, now what? Okay, you've got all this information. Now what? So we do tackle that and let people know how they can begin to work on that and have good results. And, the thing is too, lifelong learners. We are lifelong learners. We're always evolving. And leaders have to be open to learning different things and being open to what employees need. Because just like what you said before, it might have been just go to work 9 to 5, you were late, you get rid. Things are evolving, things are changing, and leaders need to be able to adapt to that and be able to change. And, for example, yes, I completed my doctorate last year, but most recently, I just took an 8-week program at Cornell University on diversity and inclusion and got my certificate in that. And, so you're always learning. And these are great, great information that we can apply to the workplace. And I was in that class with other CEOs and leaders, and it was exciting to see that because it's top down. It starts at the top. It starts with the leader. So if the leader gets it, then they can pass it down to the rest of the folks and set a good example for the rest of the company. So that's one thing too, is you've got to be open to continuing to learn. Don't think that you know everything. You've got to be willing to listen to your employees because you never know. They actually just might have a good idea or have a different way of doing things, something fresh, innovative, and then when you do take that, when you take that example or you take that advice, or if you just listen to them, sit back and see the difference it'll make, the difference in their performance, because they'll feel invested. Wow.
Right.
They actually listened to me. They actually listened, to what I had to say. The CEO, listened to my idea,
In the world of emerging technology,
Mhm.
AI,
Mhm.
one who's a leader almost has to adopt these new character traits if you're going to have longevity. I too had to look at that. And, here we are on the podcast, we're on radio and that kind of thing. At my age, I had to shift, I had to pivot. It was one thing to do a TV commercial. We did all of that. We're certainly very blessed in our career, my business. But it was a wake-up call. Mm-hmm. How do I transcend? How do I go into the new millennium with this new generation whose mindset is different? And yet I want to achieve longevity. I want to go into the 26s and 30s, and right. And so it's mandated. What are the benefits of adopting this authentic leadership style?
Well, the benefit of it is you get better employee results. You get better job performance from your employees. Employees will perform better with the leader that they trust, respect, someone that's honest, transparent with them. The research and the data shows they will perform better with the traits of an authentic leader.
Yes.
And so that's your reward right there. If you're a company and you're not getting folks to do the job that they need to do, if they're not behaving, if they're not doing their work, if they're not creating results, then you got to take a step back and look at the leader and say, hey, what can we do here? What can I do to make you successful? Yes. And if you can incorporate those traits, transparency, communicating with them, communicating expectations. Do they know your expectations? Do they know what you expect of them? They can't read your mind. Are you communicating with them and letting them know what they're supposed to be doing? So again, these traits of an authentic leader provide better results in your employees. And so that's the benefit.
You've done multiple training courses and lectures. Share with us where we can reach you at, the email and other social media things that they can take a look as we expand and dig further into this.
So you are absolutely right. I actually developed an online leadership course.
Okay.
And it's online and folks can go at it at their own pace. There's different modules. And we break it down. We talk about authentic leadership, and it is a great course for leaders, for people thinking that they want to go into management, for human resources professionals. It's a great course for that. So you can go to www.sherriespeaks.com. I'm also on Twitter at Sherrie News. I'm also on Instagram, Sherrie_Johnson_communications. Also on Facebook, Executive Business Coach. So, and also on LinkedIn, Sherrie Johnson Communications LLC. So I'm out there, but definitely if you go to the website, you will see where you can sign up for my online course and you can purchase the book. So the website is a great place to go, www.sherriespeaks.com. And Sherrie is SHERRIE, sherriespeaks.com.
Yeah. And you're available for lectures.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I speak to different companies, corporations, universities, colleges. I come and help with professional development, and I speak to the executive team, speak to the leaders.
Mhm.
I've worked with CEOs in one-on-one scenarios, or the CEO and the COO.
Mhm.
I provide online training for them. I
Yeah.
know coming up, the Human Resources Certification Institute. I'm going to be speaking with that group. And through my training on authentic leadership, once they take that training, they will be able to get recertification points. So that is very exciting to be a part of Human Resources Certification Program for them to learn about authentic leadership. And what's interesting is more and more human resources professionals are wanting to know more about authentic leadership. My phone's ringing off the hook from them,
Really?
human resources, wanting to know more. So they are very, very engaged. And I'm sure the Society for Human Resources Management. I am also speaking to some SHRM chapters. Actually, I'm going to be flying out to Monterey, California at the end of September to participate in their national conference. And I'm going to be doing an hour-long talk on authentic leadership. I've also been in talks with Washington, D.C., their SHRM chapter, as well as the Alexandria, Virginia chapter. So SHRM, the human resources professionals, they have been reaching out to me. And so they're keeping I'm on the speaking circuit with the human resources folks. But it's great because it's train the trainer. So I am training them, and then they take it back to their workplace, and then they train their executive leaders. And so that's great. But human resources professionals, they are very excited and very interested in authentic leadership. And I'm happy to
Yeah.
provide that information. So
And
I have a webinar coming up at the end of this month and another one in September.
well, great. And it's through them that culture of the company or the corporation changes. Now, has the CEOs been receptive? Because I've found
Yes.
many
Yes,
of
they
them
actually have. And you know what? They're listening. They are
are
listening.
are
And
they
that's good. They're listening to what I'm saying. And that is really good. And another good thing too is the ones that are reaching out to me is that they notice that there's an issue. That's the great thing.
Mm,
The first thing is just saying, let me go and learn a little bit more about this. That is a great first step. Is
they
to open yourself up to listen and hear about it.
I think parenthetically they know that the culture can be different. There's a problem culturally within the organization.
Mhm.
The
So you
spirit,
hit the nail on the head. And let me
yeah,
tell you something. You can have the best leadership style, but if you have a toxic organizational
mm,
culture, if you have a toxic organizational culture, it's not going to do any good what leadership style you have. So you have got to be a good leader to set the tone and set the example so that you will have a good organizational culture, because a toxic culture is very dangerous as well. That is very dangerous. So you need that good leadership, that good example to show the employees, because when you've got unethical, immoral leadership, then that breeds a toxic culture. And then that's two double negatives.
mhm. Is that something that can be uh, changed? A person who has that type of leadership style that's toxic, that's immoral,
Mhm.
the question of morality, isn't it? Uh,
Yes.
yeah, and how then do we change one's morality, one's the way they see the world, the way they operate, other than enforcement that is within the rules of the organization,
Mhm.
and just calling that person out in a meeting with the CEO or whatever it is.
Mhm.
We understand that you're doing this, and thus your class will be very important.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely, absolutely. Again, it starts at the top. You need, a leader that is ethical, that is moral. And when people see them behaving that way, they behave that way. If they see them behaving immorally, they're going to be immoral. If they can do it, I can do it. So it's
Right.
very important for you to have that at the top. And, that's why many corporations have, a vision and mission statement, a value statement, and they list these things. We value honesty, integrity, respect. Those are important. And believe it or not, there are companies that will write people up if they do something that's not in the company's values and vision and mission statement. And, another thing that I'm encouraging and I think is a good idea is an ethics policy. I think
Mhm.
companies should start looking at an ethics policy. And when people violate that, like any other policy, they need to be held accountable. And in that way, the employees see that you mean business and you are serious about this. You are serious about ethics. You're serious about morality. And again, that sets a good example. That
Yeah.
sets the tone for the organization.
Now,
And it starts at the top with the leaders.
we have some of our viewers in Mexico and different places,
Mhm.
different languages. Is that something you serve that community as well?
Yes, absolutely. My
Yeah.
book can be translated.
Okay.
And of course, I have a website, and my website can be translated, has translation capabilities. So, yes, the book has translation capabilities, and the website has translation capabilities.
And there's so many. There's
Mhm.
so many companies and people of different cultures and backgrounds that
We
really
work
need.
with them all. We work
Yeah,
with everyone. Yes.
yeah. I'm proud. I'm thankful for having all these different cultures that
Mhm.
are calling me, and for security. I own a security company. I also have a couple
That's
other,
great.
but it runs a gamut. And we say
Mhm.
in security, and there's no industry void of the need of security.
Mhm. Mhm.
We serve
Mhm.
them all, from hotels to, and so even some of our clients
Mhm.
to benefit from your services.
Mhm.
That's why
Yes.
we want to get, this is the value added show. We try to uplift, motivate, and inspire everyone who comes and views our show or tunes in.
Mhm.
Really want to help you be better. If
Mhm.
you're an entrepreneur and trying to get a business started, you need to call Miss Sherrie
Yeah.
Johnson uh, to set the corporation up or the company up properly in the first place.
Yes.
You know,
Definitely. And
and so
I am here. I'm an executive leadership coach, authentic leadership speaker, speak to different organizations. Also do one-on-one coaching, group coaching. You want me to come in and talk with your entire executive team. If you just want me to talk to the CEO, COO, I'm happy to do that as well.
Sherrie Johnson, if you would please share with us again how we may find you on the various platforms.
You can find me at SherrieSpeaks.com, and that's Sherrie, SHERRIE, SherrieSpeaks.com. And I have a place on my website where you can give me your name and submit a form, and I can reach back out to you. Also, my email is Sherrie@SherrieSpeaks.com. Sherrie@SherrieSpeaks.com if you want to email me directly. And info@SherrieSpeaks.com. You can email that as well. And again, I'm on Twitter at Sherrie News, on Facebook, Executive Business Coach, on LinkedIn, Sherrie Johnson Communications LLC. So yeah, feel free to reach out. Definitely, I would love to work with you.
Are there any upcoming events that you're a part of that we should know about?
Well, I am coming up probably August 18th. I'm actually going to be having a webinar, a free masterclass talking about authentic leadership. So that's going to be coming up August 18th. So, yes, if you want to pay attention to my website and my social media channels, I will have the link coming up real soon on how to join that masterclass. And it's going to be at 7 p.m. on Thursday, August 18th, 7 p.m. Eastern, and 4 p.m. Pacific. And it's a 1 hour free masterclass on authentic leadership in the workplace. And I'm going to be talking more about what is authentic leadership and how leaders can have better employee performance when they are authentic leaders. So that's coming up on the 18th. I just want to educate more people about it.
Thank you for that. In fact, they visit our website. At some point, we'll have a link up.
I will send it to you. As soon as we have that, I will send you that link. But that's going to be coming up. Yeah. I would love the more the merrier. I just want to get the information out. Yeah. Like I said, when I was doing my dissertation, I'm doing this research and I'm like, this is great information, but not just the academic folks need to know it. The public needs to know this. This is beneficial. So that's when I decided to make it available. You know what? See something, say something. I learned this information. So now I want to get it out and I want to share it with everyone.
Yeah. And, I think the post-2020, post-COVID, the question of authenticity kind of came to the forefront of our discussions in corporate America. And it spans the gamut, whether it be in politics, corporate America, anywhere else, because the economy tightened up. There's discussions about politics and all this stuff that's going on. Right? America's changing. However, those who adopt the culture of authenticity, of honesty, of sharing the information, of being better and allowing others to express themselves and become better. I think that it changes the culture of the organization. It certainly did my own. So I would encourage everyone to give you a call, look you up on social media platforms, be there on August the 18th when that comes out. Take a look at our website. Certainly, in closing, any remarks that you would like to say, and the floor is yours.
I just want to say that leadership is very important. Leaders set the tone for any organization. And so it is so important that they are authentic, that they are open, honest, and transparent, because employees really do pay attention to the leader and what he or she is doing. And they take their green light from that, so it is important. And so, even if you're someone that's been a CEO for 20 years, 30 years, every day we're always learning something new, learn about some of the new techniques and some of the newer leadership styles that are evolving, and educate yourself, and improve, even though you may be doing a great job, but maybe you could do better, So I would definitely say, check it out. I would love to come and talk to different companies, corporations, offer some one-on-one or group coaching to get information out there so you can have better performance with your employees, as well as a healthier workplace.
Yeah. Well, thank you for being with us.
Thank you for having me
on the show again. And we'll certainly tune in on the 18th. And until next time, by the way, we'll be pushing that book.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Authentic Leadership in the Workplace. Pick up your copy. There it is.
Get your copy. Right. Where do they get that from again? Is that Amazon?
Amazon. Dr. Sherrie Johnson, Authentic Leadership in the Workplace. Amazon is selling it. You can also go to my website. I'm selling it on my website as well. So either way, I think from my website, you can get it quicker. Amazon's a little bit longer, but it depends whatever your comfort level is. Some people, they like ordering from Amazon. It's there. But if you need it quicker, you can go to my website and we can get it to you within a matter of days.
Their family and followers, I thank you for being with us again for another edition of the Lance Jones Show. Until next time. Thank you, Dr. Johnson.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for listening to The Lance Jones Show. Tune in weekly and be sure to become a member and get advertising discounts when you promote your business or events.